Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Like we say on this show, it all depends the time zone from where you are watching us from. Welcome to The Leader, courtesy of the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya on Hope Media. My name is Edmund Mudibo. Today's topic is one that I really cherish because it's all about transformational leadership through a generational lens. And clearly you can tell which generation I'm in. But today, we're very, very compliant because we've got a couple of generations to help us in this. Now, with me in studio today, I'm very glad to have, finally, Gen Z. Na anaitwa Eric Muli.
Yeah.
When I grow up, I want to have studied and graduated with Bachelor of Technology in Medical Engineering from the Technical University from Mombasa. Yani just your title alone is just a paragraph. Tayari nafungua milango. It's good to be a Gen Z. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And of course, just to make me happy and make me comfortable and make us also, we are gender compliant because the lady in the house, Dr. Patricia Kingori. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Your title pia sio kidogo. Nilisoma nikaona country director, CoA Africa, Kenya.
Yes.
Amongst many other things. You should have heard her. Passionate. She eats, sleeps, drinks, smokes. Hey, she smokes. Okay, eats. Gen Z. So, Eric.
Yes.
Tell us, who are you?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Muli. I am a young African, a Gen Z, born and raised in Makueni County, part of Kenya. I have studied, as you mentioned, medical engineering in the Technical University of Mombasa up to December 2024 when I graduated. And I have been serving 3 months before my graduation up to date. I have been serving as a volunteer with CoA Africa Kenya. And I'll be serving again as an exchange volunteer with CoA Africa South Africa from August this year to August next year. Yeah, and much more we'll talk as we continue. That is just a brief introduction about myself. Thank you.
Hey, mazee, hiyo ni appetizer. Zito,
Yeah.
Gen Z, kama si sasa ni sasa hivi. Dr. Patricia.
Yes.
CoA Africa. Sio CoA Africa Kenya.
Yes.
What do you do there? And how did you end up there at CoA Africa Kenya?
So CoA Africa Kenya is part of CoA Africa, can I say Africa, because it's only focused in Africa. We are in 11 countries. We are an NGO, and we work with the young generation, the Gen Zs, literally. And what we do, it's a volunteerism program. So the founder of this organization realized that there was a gap. There are people who want to serve their countries, but they're not given the platform. At the same time, we have young generations, graduates finishing campus. They want jobs, but everybody is saying, what is your experience? So where are they supposed to get this experience? So this organization is a place where we give graduates an opportunity to have hands-on experience by serving as a volunteer for 1 year. So in the process of serving, they gain soft skills and hard skills that you will never really be taught in a classroom. And they do this by serving rural, under-resourced communities, and it's a commitment for 1 year. So that's basically what we do as an organization.
Wow, wonderful. Tayari imagine volunteer experience that would have been used to knock you off. Come back when you have experience. Already you have experience, but excellent. So the key goal of today's discussion is to explore how different generations can learn from and influence one another for godly, transformative leadership in Kenya today. And I'd like to make reference to 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, if I may. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, which says that, and it begins just part of it, let no one despise your youth. So, if I may ask Eric,
Yes.
what does leadership look like to your generation?
For me, as a Gen Z, a leader is someone who is just privileged. Not that he's different from others, but it's because if we all show direction, we might lack a clear place where we can say like we are going. But it's a privilege to show direction, not really to supervise or to be a boss, but just to be the center of communication in terms of where are we heading as an organization, as a company, or as a country. I know as Gen Zs, we are much interested with that part of as a country. Yeah, it's an opportunity to represent people, your equals. Being a leader, of course, we as Gen Zs, we say we will respect you, but it does not mean that you yourself, you should not be humbled to know that you are just part of us. We sent you somewhere to represent us. That is in matters of when we're talking about the political leadership and political representation. Yeah, for to us, that is it. To me, that is all I call a leader.
And I seem to hear,
Yeah.
I mean, from your generation perspective, what I'm seemingly getting is that things that matter, that are values in a leader, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is authenticity, social justice, mental wellness also. Do you agree?
I agree, and I also say humility, because the greatest measure of greatness to me is humility. Yeah, because the youths like us, we don't like leaders who try to dictate the way, but we like leaders who come and even ask for the way, because we believe that we are aware of some 1, 2, 3 things. And reducing yourself as a leader, being humbled, it does not mean that you're not that leader, you know? Yeah, so I agree with you for that.
All right, so now, Dr. Patricia, you're closer to me in age. If I was to ask, what does leadership look like to your generation, which could well be my generation, but your generation, and as you reflect on values like duty, stability, integrity, speak to that.
Well, to me, I'd define leadership in two ways. One, that leadership is service, and two, leadership is influence. Now, when I say leadership is service, I'm talking about servant leadership. And servant leadership, as Eric said here, comes with humility. And I think Christ exemplified that through his ministry on earth, but also when he washed his disciples' feet. He was their leader. He was, God himself, but he washed their feet, and thereby exemplified servant leadership. But also remember, leadership is also influence, because a leader, it's like a triangle. The leader is at the apex, and you're influencing a wide base of people, which means then that there has to be character. And with that character are the items you're talking about, integrity and again, humility, and even the other characters that are, as a believer or as a Christian, you should have. But whether you're a believer or not, there are certain characters as a leader you must have and exemplify, because people are looking up to you and you are influencing their mindset or the way they're thinking, especially if they hold you up in that status of being, up there. We were talking and mentioning about influencers. An influencer, in a way, is a leader because they're influencing the followers by their lifestyle or by whatever it is they're driving as an agenda or as an objective. The question is, is their influence detrimental or is it positive? And therefore leadership has that element of influence where you need to have such a positive character that it influences others to want to become like you.
Now you find in Kenya we have different generations because we're not all born at the same time, and then that lot that was just homogeneous at the same time became the nation. We've got different generations, okay? And are there instances where the different generations collide and the different generations also complement in leadership styles?
I would look, okay, let me just reflect on that. If you look at the older generations, my parents, my grandparents, you'll find that they operated more with an Ubuntu spirit. When I say Ubuntu, it means working as communally. Leadership was more lateral. And if you divide the word community, it's actually two words, com and then unity. Com means having something in common, a common purpose, a common goal, and working in unity together. So, for example, if it was harvest time, we all come together, we harvest your shamba, we go to the next, and we're all having one purpose. And if I look at the younger generation, I find it is more self-centered, more individualistic. It is I, myself, me, the three there. And it's actually reflected a lot. You find this, they have no problem somebody sending a whole video, just selfies, themselves, looking lovely, all that. Anywhere you go, you'll find them, it's being very self-centered as opposed to being more community-centered. And maybe if I could just step back a little bit, when we as an organization send volunteers, the ERICs, into the community, one of the things they do is to mobilize the community to come into one and form a CBO, which means they have a common purpose, a common goal, with which now they do a community project, which is important to them. So it is that thing of working together. So it is trying to bridge, and in that we try to make sure you're talking about the diverse generations, we want a representation of all the generations in that CBO, from the old to the young. Nobody should be left out, even persons living with disability, because then you form a body which you're trying to bring homogeny, but in a level of diversity. Yes.
Now, Eric.
Yes.
What about, would you say, the instances where there's collision between the different generations?
Number one, my generation, we have been born, we have grown in a time where the internet has united us to the rest of the world. So like when I look at the leaders who are leading me now, as in Kenya, because most of the positions, we vote for people who are much grown. But from how they've grown, the exposure they have is different from what we are getting. They'd sit with, learning from our parents, how they'd sit in circles with a fire, the middle with their grandparents, teaching them, these are morals, this is how you should do when you grow up. But for us, I am joined in my phone with people in America, in China, in Europe,
Yes.
So the kind of teachers I have as a young man, they are more compared to the teachers my parent had when he was my age. And now he's expecting me to behave the way he was behaving,
Yes.
Yeah, with all this kind of exposure. Our parents also. And I call them our parents because anybody elder than 35 who is not a youth is qualified to be my parent.
Yes.
They have beliefs. Their leadership is leadership mostly with a lot of experience, and they believe that, for example, we are supposed to respect leaders. We also believe that we are supposed to respect leaders, but now our form of respect is a little bit different from theirs, because, like, for example, if a great leader came in a place where we are, young people and our old generation will see the old people standing, and we will be struggling to stand because we're like, why are we standing? Well, we already know that this is our leader, and that is why you see there are a lot of collisions. And in Kenya, we get, a voice could come from the wilderness. We just see the internet. Oh, we are supposed to demonstrate. And young people are going out there. And now when the old generations come and like, where are your morals? We are taught that we are supposed to respect leaders. Why are you on the streets? But we don't want to be addressed in that way. We don't, when I say we, I don't mean myself, but my generation wants us to be addressed with respect, even though we're little. You see that kind of difference in beliefs is what I'd say is affecting us in terms of generational difference and leadership,
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, interesting. So I get a sense that there is generational mistrust, innovation gap. I mean, when we were growing up, our village was the world, but now you guys, the world is
The world
your
is
village.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world is
Okay, now let's move on to what makes leadership transformational. What makes leadership transformational? And the basic question that we'll be looking at as we discuss this is leadership in Kenya today transformational or transactional?
Well, let me start by
So define transformational leadership from where you sit.
defining transformational leadership.
What do you think it is? What does it mean?
A type of leadership, according to me, where the leader leads from within and gives room for creative thinking, for innovation to those whom I'll call his or her subjects, whereby you give room. If you have, I am a leader and I have entrusted a junior staff with a responsibility, I give them a room to actually explore what can they do, and that way the people I'm leading are growing, and I'm also growing at the same time, and they are making my work easier. And because let me take an example of a workspace. Most of the time, leaders are not connected to the clients or if it's a corporate business, than those people you're leading. So if you get to the other kind of leadership you call transactional leadership, where you're leading from a manual, this is how we used to do when I was working in this kind of company. This is when I was an MP, this is how we led and things worked out. Instead of listening to these people who are interacting with people, our world nowadays is very dynamic. I'd give you an example in the Bible. We all know about those mighty men of David. When David was starting with them, they were very, from 1 Samuel, I think, chapter 22, they were considered, some have debts, weak. But at the time David is becoming a king, even those people, I think one was called Abishai, these people were strong men at the same time. That is a kind of leadership that we are all starting somewhere. I am your leader, but when I'm growing, you are also growing. I'd also give an example of Nehemiah and say transformational leadership in seeing potential in the people you lead, being positive, where other people might not see greatness. You are able to see a lot of potential in the people you're leading. Like Nehemiah would see, these people are being considered weak, but I'm very sure that when we come together, because no man is an island, and one man, you cannot really go so far alone, because there is one saying I usually hear when they say, if you want to go fast, You can go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with others. And he was able to bring people together, and build a wall, and it was very successful. They are building, at the same time they are prepared to fight anybody who will come. And let me now talk about Kenya. Our leadership as a country, it's transformational. We have both. But my generation, let me tell you the truth, we don't really see the positive so much. We are focused on seeing the negative part. So I will not deny we have transformational leadership. I have seen leaders like I said, I come from Makueni. There's a time when I was growing, we'd be taking tea in the market with the governor, taking tea, and he's just listening to us. His name was Professor Kivuda Kibwana.
Yes, I know him.
And I see, when we are reasoning together, he gets a lot because, the people you lead, like we do in CoA Africa, community-led development, we give them the platform to tell us what can we do together. Because these people know their challenges. They even know the risks that are associated with a kind of project. But at the same time, we also have leaders who will wake up and speak with a lot of pride, and they forget that we are the people who sent them there, So both transformational and transactional leadership is evident. And our leaders are good. The only thing I'd say that they need to be so keen is our population. 75% is young people. 29%, we are between 18 and 35. That is 29%. The rest of the 75% are children. Gen Alpha, they are coming up. So they have to know that the people we are leading, most of them, they are young people. They elected us because they know age comes with wisdom, because experience is the best teacher. But now when you get there, now try to study them. What do they like, and lead them. Lead as if you are leading a young country, a young economy where most of the people are young, and that way we are going to at least have a form of cohesion as a nation, even in the companies. Yeah, thank you.
Wow. Excellent. I could listen to you the whole day. What I'm getting from there is there's service, there's vision, there's character, there's courage, being bold, and certainly don't lose that as you progress. Now, Dr. Patricia, what are some of these barriers for transformational leadership that one could identify? For example, corruption, apathy, poor mentorship, even that hustle culture in itself that can end up promoting acquisition material to the exclusion of others as opposed to having the greater gain for all.
Okay. My understanding of transformational leadership is a leadership that inspires and motivates from within, as Eric was trying to put it, so that it gives, it causes people to give their best. So for you to inspire anybody, or for me to be able to motivate you, there has to be a certain character or personality in me that you are admiring, that is inspiring you to give the best or to do your best by the example that I'm showing as a leader, as a transformational leader. And when you realize that if you then have those characters of integrity and I like that you bring that angle of hustling, because everybody says they're hustling, but then in that element of hustling you drive a lot of materialism. So you have a very materialistic mindset. Now, if I have a very materialistic mindset, then it's very easy for a leader to manipulate you through a transactional kind of leadership, because I know all you want is a car or a home, whatever. So it will be give and take. I can offer you this and you do this. And then in that transaction, there is lost value. You lose integrity, you lose character, you lose moral values, because it's an exchange. And it's something we have to be very careful of, because if you look at, even at the, so Eric talked about the country angle. Look at the family. Many times you have absentee parents. Either you are busy working out there, and especially absentee fathers, and I'm not really, but there are a lot of absentee fathers. But what does the father do when he comes home? Makes it transactional, brings a lot of toys and buys the children a lot of things, material things, to try and compensate. But that is not enough, because if you're not spending time with your child, you're not influencing them, you're not motivating them, you're not building values in them outside of material things, then that child then becomes completely transactional in their outlook. Now, remember, there's something that Eric said, that whereas we were primarily influenced by our family, the elders, because it was a smaller community, so we didn't have internet, all at best you had a TV, and even then it was probably a central TV and it was switched off at a certain time. So you found that your parents, your grandparents, your aunties, uncles had a bigger influence on you and the values that you have. When you have the whole globe to teach you, not everybody has the same values.
Right.
So these Gen Zs are absorbing a lot of information or values from everywhere, and not all of it builds character, not all of it is transformational. So if you then as a parent are not there to help instill these values, then all these other influencers are the ones that will direct the character or the mindset, if I can call it that, the mindset of the younger generation. So it's so important that as a parent, parenting is not a part-time job. Parenting is a calling, and you finish it when you are buried. Because even adult children will come for counsel from you. It may not be the same as a young child where you're saying, wewe usifanye hii, or don't do that. But like for me, our firstborn has just edged out of the youth generation. But we talk, we converse, and if they're planning as a family to buy a house, he'll seek counsel. Dad, Mom, what do you think? Do you think this area? So they'll always come back to you. So parenting never ends. It never ends. Even now, as I am, I'll go to my dad, and there are certain opinions or thoughts I want to pick from him based on his life and his experience that will add value to me, even though I'm a full adult, and he's now looking at me as a parent, So it doesn't stop there. So if we fail to instill it at a young age, we need to stop getting so materialistic. And I want to then come to the mountain of influence, of media. The mountain of media has one of the greatest impact in the mindset of the population. So if the content you're driving out, you have to be careful what content that you're driving out, because it's influencing somebody somewhere. So you can see how that global teacher out there is all over the place. So if you as a parent do not instill your values, if you don't have that transformational leadership of leading by inspiring and by teaching and by putting in the values, our children will get lost, unfortunately.
Oh, now let's just speak truth to power, even to ourselves.
Yeah.
From where you sit, would you say that, or do you feel that the current Kenyan leadership, and here I'm looking at the following, church, politics, and family, is transformational?
Thank you.
Fungua roho.
Yeah, I'd say let me start with the church, because I have been going around, most of us, I believe, youths are just like me. We are too mobile. And I have seen churches where the leadership is definitely transformational, whereby you will hear on Sunday, the following Sunday, it's the youths who will be in charge of everything in the service, And I just, mentorship and telling them, if you have anything to ask, come and ask. And that way, the church is making these young people to grow. As I said, in a world where the teachers are so many, I believe it is also good if the church becomes the main teacher, the supreme teacher that is good, because, most of the time we start there in the Sunday school, and what gets in your mind first is impactful also. And at the same time, there are other places in the church where you will find that we have leaders who try to be like they're the final, Also, when I believe youths have, in most of the churches, youths have matrons or patrons or sponsors elected from the elders. I'm telling you, for us, we will like that person who comes to us and, we are discussing, making a discussion. Munafikiria tukule nini? What do you need for a year? We will be like, we need games, we need to go and swim. And now, because he's the parent, he agrees with that and brings in the part of doctrine in there. Because, as long as you're serving them what they want, because as long as we are growing in the doctrine, we also have to grow in the other aspects of life. In the family, we also have parents who are dictators. I'd say they are dictators. That like and those kind of parents, because I have seen them. When a father enters the gate, the children get confused. And how honestly, you're not going to grow so well when you have already a lot of confusion in your mind, when you're not settled mentally, because you are afraid you might do this. The next thing that will land on you is definitely a slap or insult, But at the same time, we have people who raise their children from the biblical perspective of also being gentle to them, And I say to parents sometimes that if you put this thing of bringing us up so much to yourself and you're not giving goal, you might fail, because our growth as children is also determined by God and ourselves, because we have so many teachers. I say sometimes a pastor can raise a drunkard, and a drunkard can raise a pastor, because most of the time it's also dependent on us as the youths. And that is about the family. I'd also talk about our country. We, the people, are the cause of leaderships that are transactional and that are filled with corruption. Those that are there, because we have both. Because check an example with where I come from. There is a certain party. If a leader is brought by that party, my people will believe this is the right leader, instead of looking and focusing at the character of the content of the character. I mean, also we're looking at money. These leaders, when they're campaigning, they're dashing out a lot of money. And I don't know where now At that time, I don't know where our sense goes, because it comes back after 2 years and we start going to the streets to demonstrate when we are the same people who let them in. I believe, power, like Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 12, it says that power or money is a great defense. Wisdom is also a great defense. But knowledge has it that wisdom, it gives life. A person who has wisdom will prosper. So let us look at the track records of the people we are giving positions as people. And our leadership as a nation will be, even if it's not 100%, a big percentage of the right kind of leaders. And as the young people, most of the time we talk too much. And when it comes to action, we do different things. Like I'd say that if we stop being theoretical and start the practice, we will have a better country where we want ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
So now, Dr. Patricia, what qualities must rise for the next generation of godly leaders to emerge? What qualities must rise?
There has to be qualities of selflessness, qualities of humility, because I always say humility is not weakness. Pride is the one thing that got the devil kicked out of heaven.
In fact, as you continue, what comes to mind? Someone described to me and said humility is really strength under control.
Yes.
As you continue on.
Yes, it is strength under control. So the character has to be humility. It has to be servitude. That when you're put in a position of leadership, you're not there to transact. You're there to serve the people who put you, because they entrusted you with a certain kind of service that you do. Because as we say, not all the three of us cannot lead. There'll be chaos. There has to be one person giving direction, but then that direction has to lead towards the goal or the objective. The other thing is the fear of God. The spirit of the fear of God. When you have the fear of God, there are very many things you'll not do, even that you could do in the secret place. But because you fear God, you will stop yourself from entering or engaging in those things. Those are characters we need to see. Now, when we have a service like we do where, and I'm so proud of Eric here, because when I hear him talk, and I'm hoping everybody can see, is the potential in there. When Paul was telling Timothy, don't let anybody despise your youth, he saw potential in Timothy. But he realized, like usual, we brush off these young people, keep quiet and stay out there first. And don't realize that they have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of insights, they have a lot of ideas that we need to harness for the better tomorrow. So the other character they need to have is an ability to listen, to just keep quiet and listen. Because they may not have the skill sets to get to where the idea is, but they have great ideas. There's a lot of creativity, and it's that platform of listening that is very, very important for the next generation to come in, because we need to leave. The Bible says a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children. We have to leave a heritage, not just for this generation Z, but generation Alpha, and even the next generation. You have to leave that for them. Therefore, for that to be left, there are certain things that then the leadership in terms of character has to have in setting those things and putting them in place to create an environment. A lot has to do with mindset. Our mindset has to change. Our mindset, and that's when the Bible says renew your mind with the word of God, is because you are removing the trash and putting in that which is valuable, that which is sustainable, that which is eternal. Yes.
And indeed, because that just really homes it in, because what you're alluding to is Romans 12:2, which, if I may get to here, is that do not conform to the pattern of this world, because you know the world is all messed up and everything, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Now, let's look at the role of faith and mentorship. And here, how can a Christian mentorship bridge the generational gap? And here, possibly what you could look at the context is the place or importance of spiritual discipleship and leadership development, the role of older leaders to model and pass the baton. 2 Timothy 2:2 speaks to it, and also the role of young leaders, such as yourself, to honor and lead with humility. 1 Peter 5:5. And the Kenyan context here, you'll see that what it manifests if there is failure here, broken families, you've got church youth gaps, where you have church ministries that are really operating in silos, but there's no connectivity yet. The place may seem to be full, may seem to be vibrant from the outside, but on the inside, it's another story. Online influencers, where the village you're in, which is the world, versus the real mentors, because you can really feel you're there. You've got all these celebs online, you've got followers, 1 million, but you're really empty, you're really alone, yet you think you are with others. So let's start with you, Eric. So how can Christian mentorship, from where you sit, bridge the generational gap? Because here, clearly, there are gaps.
Yeah, thank you. I'd say this: taking examples from the Bible and taking the Bible as a guidebook, as a manual for your leadership, because it says that the fear of the Lord is indeed the beginning of wisdom. So number one, if those Pauls of this time, bishops, church leaders, former leaders, because like in my country, most of them who have been there, and a good number, they will, align themselves with the Bible. I believe that it is important to have the Paul-Timothy relationship, whereby you are giving these young people, you are showing that you have confidence in them. And also the young people like me, the young leaders, living with our older parents who are also leaders respectfully, because it is important, and the Bible shows that it is important to have respect. When we respect them, and also, respect is also two-way. We can be together, of different ages, but what unites us is the mission. What are we up to? Empathy, you showing love, and that is a good thing that will be able to, and that is able to bring about positive change in terms of leadership. So most of the time we say that I usually see, because I'm in X, and when church leaders, the bishops, our fathers meet these political leaders, they are most of the time attacked. And I know it's because most of citizens, and the young citizens, will not have a lot of confidence in our leaders, because and it's the leaders who caused all these things, because you cannot stand up or wake up today and come and lie to me, Eric, when everything you talk, immediately I feel like it's not working, I'll go and research. If research does not give me well, I'll go to AI and try and look. So this is it. But I believe that it's important that our leaders embrace also the church leaders who are there, the elder people, and there is a lot that comes with age. And old people than me have not gone to the university and might not be having a degree, but the wisdom that comes from experience, and
Okay.
it's very important.
All right, now we are about to land this plane, and I'll just give Dr. Patricia 30 seconds. If you had the microphone, and what would you say to speak to your generation or the other? What would you say to our generation, your generation, to the other generation where he is? 30 seconds. What would you say in terms of vision for Kenya's future as far as transformational leadership is through your lens? What would you say in 30 seconds?
I would tell our generation that listen to the younger generation. It doesn't matter whether they're saying nonsense. In between the nonsense, there will be value. I would like to tell them that our life is an example. You can preach, you cannot preach water and drink wine. Let our lives be a reflection of the values that we are. This, everybody looks at you first in your character and everything, not what you say, but how you live your life. I'd like to say to the younger generation, there is hope. Don't lose hope, because a heart without hope, and I'm not saying that because we're in Hope TV, but true. Hope is very important in life, and learn to speak up, but speak up with respect, and speak up with honor, and so that there can be respectful communication between the two. I'd like to tell our young generation that we love them and we actually value them, and the future is actually theirs. And there is a way that with God's help, we can work together to make a better tomorrow.
Wonderful. Eric, 30 seconds. Give a challenge to the older generation. You are the Gen Z here. 30 seconds. What challenge would you give so that you can have that transformation leadership?
Thank you. Our parents, we honor you. We respect the work you've done because we were there before we even existed. Don't be too harsh on us. I mean, we can reason together. We can reason together. Let us take the example of Jesus, of transformational leadership. He entrusted people who I don't think they were respected, fishermen, with an eternal ministry. And that way, you can be Paul, I be Timothy, and we take this boat of leadership, our nation, to another level. And also to us, let us also be practical, not just talking and tweeting so much. Let us be practical. Let us vote in content of character and not money bags, not parties. And thank you.
Wonderful. Now, as I wrap up here, clearly what seems to come through is that leadership is a shared responsibility across generations. And the transformation starts with personal surrender to Christ. And Kenya needs leaders who listen, who mentor, and live by godly conviction. So whichever generation you're part of, choose to lead with purpose, serve in humility, and build bridges across ages for Kenya's sake and Christ's glory. Start by mentoring someone or seeking one this week. My name is Edmund Mudibo, and we don't take the privilege of your time for granted. We've been here, and so much appreciation to Eric Muli and Dr. Patricia Kingori. Let's do this next week, same time. God bless.